we're going to demystify the world of business forecasting. And using some fantastic insights from a course by the Inventory Mentor, we'll see how it's really less about a crystal ball and way more about building a smart, collaborative plan. Okay, so right off the bat, let's just bust the biggest myth out there. Forecasting isn't about gazing into some magic crystal ball and getting a perfect vision of the future. It's really about making a smart, educated guess. And it's a guess that your whole business can actually rally behind. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to talk about what we're actually trying to predict, what the recipe for a good forecast looks like, the tools you need, what happens when things go wrong, because they will, and finally, how to put it all together in a collaborative rhythm.
All right, first up, predicting the future. What are we actually trying to pin down with all this effort? And, just as important as what are we not trying to predict?
Here's the key thing to get. We only, and I mean only, forecast something called independent demand. This is the truly unpredictable part. It's what your final customers out there in the world are going to choose to buy. That's the number we're chasing.
Now, that is a world away from dependent demand. Think about it. If you decide you're going to build 100 cars, you know for a fact you need 400 tires, right? You don't forecast that. You calculate it. It's a simple calculation based on your plan.
So why do we go through all this trouble? Well, it's because the time it takes you to get or make your product is almost always longer than your customer is willing to wait. Forecasting lets us bridge that gap so we can be proactive and have what they want right when they want it.
Okay, so if forecasting is just an educated guess, how do we make sure it's a really good one? Well, you follow a recipe. And just like any good recipe, it's got 5 essential ingredients to get it just right. This flow here lays it out perfectly. You've got to start with clean historical data. Then you find the patterns in that data, apply some statistical models, and, this is key, you enrich it all with human market intelligence before classifying your items to focus your energy.
So, the most basic pattern a system will look for is what we call level. Just think of this as the baseline. It's the average demand when things are pretty steady, just kind of ticking along.
Next up, you've got trend. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It's that clear, long-term direction. Is demand consistently growing over time, or is it shrinking?
And of course, there's seasonality. You know this one. It's the ice cream sales rocketing up in the summer or coat sales in the winter. Those predictable peaks and valleys that happen at roughly the same time every single year.
But honestly, this right here is the most powerful ingredient of all: market intelligence. Your data only knows about the past. It's your people who know about the future. They know about that huge promotion coming up, or that new customer we just signed, or what a competitor is up to. This is the human secret sauce.
Okay, so we've got all our ingredients. Now let's talk about the kitchen tools, right? The actual methods we can use to cook up this forecast.
Now, what I love about this is how simple the distinction is. On one hand, you've got time series methods. These just look at past data patterns, and they're awesome for your stable, predictable products. But on the other hand, you have qualitative methods, which rely on human judgment, and these are absolutely essential for things like new products, where you have no past data at all.
So what's the real winning strategy? Well, it's a hybrid approach. It's the best of both worlds. You let the system do all the heavy lifting with the stats, and then you empower your amazing team to use their market intelligence to make that forecast even smarter.
So, this brings us to a really crucial reality check. We've gone through all this work. We've built our forecast. But what do we do when it's wrong? Because, let's be honest, it is going to be wrong.
There's this famous quote from the statistician George Box, and it is the perfect mindset. All models are wrong, but some are useful. The goal is not to create a perfect forecast. That's literally impossible. The goal is to create a useful one that helps us make better decisions.
So if we know perfection is off the table, how do we manage all that imperfection? The answer is you focus your limited time and your precious attention only on the things that need it most.
And we do that by managing exceptions. Instead of trying to review every single product forecast, you let your system raise a red flag. These exceptions are basically your system tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, a human probably needs to take a look at this one.
And when a planner checks out that exception, they can apply what's called an override. But here's the golden rule. You always document why you made the change. Was it to fix a weird bit of history? Was it for a future event? This is the discipline that separates a smart adjustment from just randomly fiddling with numbers.
So how does all this stuff actually come together in the real world? Well, in our final section, we'll see how a structured planning rhythm can turn forecasting from a lonely task into a real team sport. A really good monthly rhythm just builds on itself. In week 1, the system kicks out a baseline forecast. In week 2, the planners jump in and investigate all those exceptions. Then in week 3, a team from across the company adds their intelligence, which leads to a final consensus forecast in week 4 that everyone agrees on and owns.
And that collaboration, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? A forecast that's made by one person sitting alone in a silo, that's just a guess. But a forecast that's been debated and agreed upon by sales, by marketing, by finance, that is not a guess. That is a unified plan.
So, the final thought I want to leave you with is this one. I want you to take a hard look at your own process. Is your forecast a monologue, something that's just dictated by a system or maybe a single person? Or is it a rich, ongoing conversation that pulls in the absolute best intelligence from all across your entire business? Because that difference, that's everything.